What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Sodium285 and welcome to the final part of my advanced shipping story, I'd Sacrifice My Happiness for You. If you haven't seen parts 1 through 3, which are chapters 1 through 11, I will leave links in the description below and the title card should come up for you to check out because I highly recommend you watch those first. But if you have already watched them, sit back and relax and enjoy chapters 12 through 14, the final 3 chapters of I'd Sacrifice My Happiness for You. Chapter 12. The Man Behind the Scenes. Misty, Dawn, Piplup, Max, Jesse, James, Meowth, Serena and Harley waited at the airport for the plane from Unova to arrive in Lumio City. Once it arrived, Brock, Paul, Gary, Iris and Trip stepped off the plane and met them. "Glad you got my message, Brock," Max told the Pokémon doctor. "Iris, it's great to see you again," Dawn remarked to the Dragon Master-to-be. She had met Iris and Ash's other traveling companion at the time, Silent, back when she had visited Ash and Unova and competed in the Pokémon Junior World Tournament, where she had also met Trip. She gave Gary a look that said, "Really? You had to bring Trip along?" Gary gave her a playful look in response that said, "You can talk, you've got Harley, Serena and Team Rocket with you." Dawn blushed and nodded, which told Gary, "Okay, you got me." Gary gave a smile, forgiving her. "So we spoke to Slateport City's Nurse Joy," Misty began, "and she had no recollection of having that conversation with you three." She glared at Serena, Trip and Harley while saying that last bit. Trip and especially Serena had guilty looks on their faces. Harley, though, looked unbothered. "Any idea on who that Nurse Joy imposter could be then?" Paul asked, giving a suspicious look at Team Rocket. "Don't look at us," Jesse pleaded. "Yeah, we were following the twerp and his Pikachu and Alola like we always do when their first meeting happened," James explained. "True, you do like following Ash around, so you couldn't have been in Slateport City," Dawn agreed. "Then who's the imposter?" Gary asked. Brock and Max looked at each other. They were afraid an old enemy from their adventures in Hoenn was back. However, before they could explain to the rest of the group, the ground started rumbling until a flying ship appeared above them. The group turned around as a figure appeared out of the ship. Unfortunately, Brock and Max recognized the person. "Brody!" the doctor and young Petalburg trainer exclaimed. The two, with the help of Team Rocket, then explained to the rest of the group how Brody was a member of Team Magma, how he could take the form of literally anybody, how even after Team Magma had disbanded, he had continued trying to steal valuable things, including the Ribbon Cup, but Officer Jenny had never managed to arrest him. They had hoped they would never have had to run into him again. It turned out they were wrong. "So you disguised yourself as Nurse Joy," Trip called out. "You tricked us and used us," Serena yelled. "All I did was take advantage of your bitterness towards Ash and May and gave you a little push. Then you guys did the rest," Brody responded. "Misery of two bonded hearts was what I needed to enact my master plan. After Team Magma and Team Aqua had disbanded, I went off on my own. I managed to avoid every Officer Jenny. I started buying myself time, and had decided to wait until all of the plans of Team Galactic, Team Plasma, Team Flare, Team Skull, and even Team Rocket's Operation Tempest failed before I could revive Team Magma. Except this time, we're taking over the entire world. I've been watching all of you for a long time." While he monologued about his long-term plan, Jesse, James and Meowth had embarrassed looks on their faces as they recalled their boss Giovanni's failed attempt to take over the Unova region a while back. Brody continued explaining, "I noticed the significant bond Ash and May had with each other, as have all of you. and since misery from Pokemon of 2 bonded hearts was what I needed to turn into energy for my machine, I, disguised as Nurse Joy, prodded Trip, Harley and Serena to kidnap Ash and May's Pokemon, and my cages holding them absorbed their miserable energy, especially any time they're electrocuted, to power up my machine here. He then showed them his machine, which had 2 meters showing the amount of energy contained in it. He got out a remote and pressed a button on it, and the machine shot a beam into the sky. A portal opened, revealing a legendary Pokémon. "Rayquaza!" the group exclaimed. "That's right," Brody retorted. With greenhouse gases entering its home, the ozone layer, it has often led to some of those layers to erode, polluting Rayquaza's habitat. So I'm going to use Rayquaza to obliterate all humans on the planet. That way, I'll start a new race, and my newly revived Team Magma will become the new rulers of the world. "You can't guarantee Rayquaza will let you live if you let it destroy all life," Gary pleaded. "Actually I can," Brody fired back, as he revealed a device that he then explained he will use to mind control and manifest Rayquaza's anger in order to get it to do his bidding. "We've got to destroy that device," Brock exclaimed. "Crocunk, Marshtomp, we need your help." He threw out 2 of his Pokeballs, and came out his Crocunk and Marshtomp. "Golduck, Politoed, we need your help too," Misty cried out as she summoned her Golduck and Politoed out of their Pokeballs. "Slacking, Gallade, let's go," Max called out, letting his Slacking and Gallade out to help. "Pachirisu, help Piplup and the others," Dawn exclaimed as she let her Pachirisu out of its Pokeball and it joined Piplup, ready to help. "Blastoise, Umbreon, we're counting on you too," Gary cried out, and his Blastoise and Umbreon appeared out of their Pokeballs. "Excadrill, Dragonite, let's go too," Iris called out, summoning her Excadrill and Dragonite. "Electivire, Drapion, stand by to stop Brody," Paul exclaimed, bringing out his Electivire and Drapion. As they all got ready, Jesse and James summoned their Pokemon, Seviper and Frillish, and Carnivine and Inkay. Meowth also got ready to help. The trio gave Brock, Misty, Max, Dawn, Gary, Iris and Paul a thumbs up, as an indication they're helping them too. Trip, Serena and Harley joined in, bringing out their Pokemon, Serperior and Conkeldurr, Braixen and Sylveon, and Cacturne and Ariados, deciding that they'd help out too. Trip and Serena, in particular, wanted payback against Brody for tricking them into helping him carry out his plan. The group started telling their Pokemon to use their various attacks, but Brody just responded by having his Ditto morph into the group's various Pokemon they had summoned to counter their incoming attacks. Just then, Ditto got hit by a Thunderbolt and an Ice Beam. The group turned it to the direction where that Thunderbolt and Ice Beam came from. There they saw 2 trainers, one a boy, the other a girl, with an army of Pokemon behind them. "Ash, May, you're both okay, and so are all of your Pokemon," Dawn cried, happy to see her friends reunited with their Pokemon and each other. "Prepare for trouble, Brody. Your reign of terror ends here," Ash declared. "And make it double. We're striking in you fear," May monologued. "Can you people stop imitating our motto?" Jessie yelled at the 2 lovers. "Hey, you repeat a motto several times. Someone's bound to memorize it by heart," Ash retorted. "And recite it off by heart too," May added. "The shame," Jessie, James and Meowth said in misery, realizing how right they were. Wobbuffet, Mime Jr., Seviper, Frillish, Carnivine and Inkay followed suit. Ash and May turned their attention back to Brody. They told their various Pokemon to use their various attacks to destroy the device. Their friends joined them again. As they continued attacking, Aipom and Eevee nudged Ash and May respectively, pleading to let them help out as well. Ash and May nodded at them. "Alright then," Ash declared. "Aipom, use Double Team, and together, use Focus Punch. And Eevee," May instructed, "use Swift." Aipom and Eevee didn't need to be told twice to join in. They used their respective attacks along with the rest of the group's Pokemon. With the numerous amount of attacks being directed at him, Brody decided to steer the ship away from Lumio City, but Ash and May weren't going to let him go off that easily. "Bulbasaur, Bayleaf, Snivy," Ash called out. "Venusaur," May called out. Use Vine Whip to stop the ship from leaving, they instructed their loyal grass types. The 4 Pokemon selected used their Vine Whips to pull the ship back, but they weren't strong enough. So Ash and May asked Leavanny and Beautifly to help out with their String Shot. May then instructed Delcatty to use Assist to bring out String Shot to help too. It still wasn't enough. Eventually, Bayleaf, Snivy, Venusaur, Leavanny, Beautifly and Delcatty started to get tired. Bulbasaur was starting to get tired too, but didn't want to give up. It took one look at Venusaur and decided to pull harder. At its newfound determination, Bulbasaur started to glow a white light. Everyone gasped at the sight before them. Bulbasaur? Ash gasped. Is it actually? Misty exclaimed. At that moment, the white light engulfing Bulbasaur caused its body to enlarge slightly. The bulb on its back opened a bit more, with leaves growing out of it. With the white light diminished, it revealed that Bulbasaur had evolved into Ivysaur. Bulbasaur has evolved into Ivysaur, May exclaimed. At that, Dawn got out her Pokédex to look up Bulbasaur's new evolved form. Ivysaur, the seed Pokémon, and the evolved form of Bulbasaur. When the bulb on its back grows large, it appears to lose the ability to stand on its hind legs. That's so cool, Iris yelled. Dawn, Max and Gary agreed with her. Ash, however, was too confused to comment. From when it was a Bulbasaur, Ivysaur had been one of his first catches from his early days as a Pokémon trainer. It had been a Bulbasaur for so long because it had refused to evolve, so he wondered what had changed in the loyal Kanto grass starter that it had felt ready to evolve now. But he would have to worry about that later, as right now, Ivysaur was pulling the ship harder with even more strength in its Vine Whip. This inspired Bayleaf, Snivy, Venusaur, Leavanny and Beautifly to continue pulling too. Delcatty tried with its assist until it gave it Beautifly's String Shot again. As they pulled, Ivysaur smiled at Venusaur, who smiled back. Ash and May noticed this and smiled, understanding why Ivysaur had finally chosen to evolve. They caused the ship to not only stop leaving, but to fall apart. When the dust settled, Brody got out of the wreckage, only to be greeted by Ash, accompanied by his Pikachu, Sceptile, Infernape and Crocodile, and May, accompanied by her Blaziken, Munchlax, Wartortle and Glaceon. They were all soon joined by Aipom and Eevee, with both Pokemon insisting to help. Brody's Ditto got ready, and Brody got out his Golbat to help stop the two lovers. Ditto and Golbat started using a variety of attacks, which Ash and May countered. Pikachu, use Thunderbolt! Sceptile, use Leaf Blade! Infernape, use Flamethrower! Crocodile, use Stone Edge! And Aipom, use Fury Swipes! Ash instructed. Blaziken, use Fire Spin! Munchlax, use Solar Beam! Wartortle, use Bubble! Glaceon, use Ice Beam! And Eevee, use Tail Whip! May instructed. The 10 loyal Pokemon used their various attacks on Ditto and Golbat, knocking them out cold. This allowed Ash and May to go and try to grab the device from Brody, while Brock and the others pleaded with Rayquaza to not listen to Brody. But the shapeshifting Team Magma member was not willing to give up that easily, and did his utmost to keep the device away from them. During the scuffle, they neared the edge of the cliff, with a long way down to the sea. The 3 of them fell off the edge. Ash! May! Their friends cried out. The 2 lovers' Pokemon started making their way to the edge to try and rescue them. As they fell down, Ash and May grabbed each other, determined that if this was the end for them, they'd have each other. Aipom and Eevee jumped down to join them. They landed on Ash and May respectively, wanting to comfort them as they approached the bottom of the seas. Pikachu jumped onto Swellow's back, and they, accompanied by Gliscor and Charizard, swooped in to try and save them. Pikachu and Swellow grabbed the device and Brody, while Gliscor and Charizard grabbed Ash, May, Aipom and Eevee. As they headed back to the cliff, Infernape and Blaziken held Brody tight to prevent him from escaping, while Sceptile took the mind control device and, using his Leaf Blade, destroyed it. At that, Brock managed to convince Rayquaza to leave, that humans meant it no harm. This persuaded the legendary Pokemon to return to its home. Chapter 13. Welcome to the family. Gliscor and Charizard gently placed Ash, May, Aipom and Eevee on the ground. Their friends and other Pokemon gathered around them to make sure they're okay. Dawn and Max hugged them tightly, both relieved they were safe. That's when Gliscor gave the two lovers a massive hug too, followed by Bayleaf nuzzling its face into theirs. Then by Pikachu, Infernape, Sceptile, Crocodile, Glaceon, Blaziken, Munchlax and Wartortle, before the rest of their Pokemon joined them in a loving embrace. At that point, Officer Jenny arrived. It turned out James had called her to come and arrest Brody. "Thanks so much, James," she told the Team Rocket member. After years of searching, Brody's finally arrested. Before she could leave, however, Brock grabbed her hands as he tried to woo the policewoman. "Officer Jenny! Please, arrest me too," he began, "for we belong together. I would like to take you out." At that moment, Crokunk gave Brock a punishing poison jab. "After Crokunk takes me out," the breeder and doctor cried in pain. As he fell down, Misty and Max pulled his ears, joining Crokunk in dragging the now paralyzed Brock away from Officer Jenny. "How about we arrest you instead?" Max told him while dragging him away. "Besides, interrupting conversations is very rude," Misty lectured Brock while also dragging him. While Brock was recovering, Ash turned his attention back to Apom, while May turned hers back to Eevee. "Apom," Ash addressed the mischievous Pokemon, "why did you jump down to join me and May when the two of us were falling?" "And you too, Eevee," May told the sweet evolution Pokemon. "You didn't have to fall down with me and Ash." Apom jumped into Ash's arms in tears. Eevee did the same with May. "I think they both really like you," Gary chimed in. The two lovers looked at the two normal types and could see in their eyes how fond of the two trainers Apom and Eevee had become. Ash remembered when he had first met Apom earlier that week, how alone it was in that forest before meeting him. He realized he was the first true friend the mischievous Pokemon had ever made, and was willing to be there for him and the girl he loves. May remembered the first time she had met Eevee, how nobody was willing to give it any company until she had come along. She could tell that, because she was willing to care for it, it wanted to be there for her and the guy she loves. This must have been why Apom and Eevee followed them to help them defeat Brody and were willing to meet their end with them. "You know," Misty chimed in, "you and Eevee make a really good team, May." "As do you and Apom, Ash," Paul added. Ash and May looked at each other and smiled, then smiled at the two normal types. You want to join my team?" Ash and May asked Apom and Eevee respectively. The two normal types nodded their heads with so much confidence. They wanted to join them, and the two lovers smiled, as they were more than happy to have them on their teams. They pulled out a Pokeball each, and threw them into the air, ready to catch the two Pokemon. Apom jumped up to touch Ash's Pokeball, while Eevee jumped to touch May's. Upon touching them, they were absorbed into the Pokeballs. Ash and May picked up their respective Pokeballs and smiled at them. "Welcome to the family, Apom," Ash told the mischievous Pokemon as he let it out to say hi to the rest of his Pokemon. Apom said hi with a lot of joy before jumping up to rest on one of Ash's shoulders, with Pikachu resting on the other one. "Eevee, welcome to the family," May told the friendly normal type as she let it out to introduce itself to the rest of her Pokemon as the newest member of the family. Eevee happily said hi before jumping into May's arms. Both Ash and May's Pokemon cheered as they welcomed Apom and Eevee to their groups. At that moment, they were greeted by a group of adults. It was Professor Oak, accompanied by Ash's mum Delia, May and Max's parents Norman and Caroline, Dawn's mum, Joanna, and Paul's older brother, Reggie. They had all come to see whether they were all okay. The final chapter. The adventure continues. "We found them!" Professor Oak cried out with happiness. Dawn ran up to her mother and they hugged in a tight embrace. "Dawn, I was so worried about you," Joanna told her daughter. "It's okay, Mum," Dawn told her mother. "No need to worry." "I know, Mum. That's when you worry the most." Dawn rolled her eyes as she said that. Paul approached his brother. "Reggie, you came too?" Reggie nodded. "I wanted to make sure you're okay, and how you and Gary were getting along. Also, this came in for you." He handed his brother a letter, which Paul opened and read. Meanwhile, Gary ran up to his grandfather and caught up. The professor was relieved to see that his grandson was okay, and handed him a letter similar to the one Reggie had given to Paul. Gary took it, opened it, and read what it said. Ash and his mum caught up with each other, and Delia hugged her son in a tight embrace. May and Max met with their parents, and the four shared a loving family hug. Their Pokémon joined them, and Ash and May introduced their new Apom and Eevee respectively to their families. Apom, Eevee, thanks so much, Delia told them. We know you'll both look out for Ash and our daughter like the rest of their Pokémon do, Norman remarked. Apom and Eevee nodded their heads, delighted to be accepted by their new trainer's parents. Then, Norman, Caroline and Max turned their attention to Ash, smiling at him. Ash, Caroline began, we already knew you'd protect May too, as you've already done a better job than anyone else could have done. And May, Delia told the Petalburg coordinator, you too have already shown how much my little boy means to you, so I know you too will protect Ash. Both Ash and May blushed at their parents' praises for them. Their Pokémon hugged them tightly, and the two lovers hugged each other in a loving embrace. They were enjoying it, until they were rudely interrupted by the last person either of them wanted to speak to, Harley. Isn't this nice? We're all happy and forgive each other, Harley remarked. That was when he was met with a pair of very angry eyes. This time you've gone too far, Harley, Ash yelled at the egotistical and cocky Slateport coordinator. I can accept you like making me miserable, May yelled at her purple-haired, cactus hat-wearing rival. But abducting all of our Pokémon and assisting Trip in trying to keep us apart just to spite me? That's a new low, even for you. All of Ash and May's Pokémon got behind them, with eyes of anger plastered on their faces, mirroring the anger of their beloved trainers directed at Harley. In case you missed it, Harley fired back defensively. We were manipulated into doing all that by that Brody guy. Except while Serena and Trip were hesitant to carry it out, you were the one to encourage them to carry out revenge. You clearly had no regret doing that, Max chimed in, with borderline uncontrollable anger in his voice. And if you ever, and I mean ever, try to mess with, hurt or manipulate my girl again, Ash warned the Slateport coordinator, well, there are way worse things that could happen to you than losing to her again. May darted angrier eyes at her rival, as did all of hers and Ash's Pokémon. One look at the intimidating faces of Pikachu, Eevee, Apom, Glaceon, Infernape, Blaziken, Sceptile, Wartortle, Crocodile, Venusaur, Torterra, Delcatty, Leavanny, Munchlax, Corphish and Beautifly made Harley cower in fear. Fine. I promise I won't bug either of you anymore, Harley pouted. Ash and May let out a sigh of relief. Finally, Ash thought to himself. Harley was going to leave May alone, and he could tell May was feeling more relaxed knowing this. She hugged him tightly, and Ash hugged her tightly back. They'll always have each other's backs. Harley sulked, being unhappy he'll no longer get to mess with May. However, that's when he turned his attention to Dawn, as evil thoughts entered his head. He promised he wouldn't mess with May anymore, so maybe he'll start messing with Dawn to make up for that. Meanwhile, Delia handed her son a letter similar to the ones that were handed to Gary and Paul, and Norman and Caroline gave one to Max. Ash opened his, and he and May read it. Dear Ash Ketchum, my name is Leon, the champion of the Galar region. I've been watching you for a while, and have always been impressed with your progress in each league you've competed in. I'm really sorry to hear you had relinquished your title of champion of the Alola region to your runner-up, Gladion, before you could battle the Master Royale. But your accomplishments in each league you've competed in should not be something to sell yourself short on, especially having defeated some previously undefeatable and powerful Pokémon. Since I've been hailed as the strongest trainer in the world, I've decided to host the first ever Galar World Championship. I'm endorsing you as a candidate for it. The next Pokemon Leagues held in Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, Kalos, Alola and Galar will be part of the 8 circuit leagues that are stepping stones to the Galar World Championship. First, you need to register and compete in one of the 8 circuit leagues by obtaining 8 gym badges in a region to participate in the league. If you register for the Galar League, show Nurse Joy this letter to know that I endorse you, as you need an endorsement from someone important in Galar to enter, and if you do well, I'll let you know that you're worthy to enter the Galar World Championship, where the winner of the championship will get to battle me for the title of World Champion. I hope to see you soon, Ash. Regards, Leon, the Galar Region Champion. Ash, this is amazing, May exclaimed. You've been invited to take part in the first ever World Championship. She gave him a loving kiss, which made Ash's cheeks go red and a bright smile formed across his face. Brock, Dawn, Misty, Max, Iris, Gary and Paul smiled at the sight of the two lovers finally being together. Looks like Ash has grown from being such a kid to such a gentleman, Iris teased. Misty nodded her head in agreement. Too right. He's come a long way from being the clumsy trainer that got my bike barbecued, she remarked with a teasing tone of her own, making Iris and Dawn giggle under their breaths. I'm so proud of you, honey, Delia chimed in, hugging her son and May tightly. This time, May's cheeks went red, realizing that Delia already considered her family. That realization placed a massive smile on her face. I've been invited too, Max stated, showing his letter. Leon said he was impressed with my performance in the top 8 of the Johto League and wants me to participate in this. Ash and May smiled. That was when Norman patted both Ash and Max on the backs. I'm proud of the two of you, the gym leader told the two trainers. Caroline then hugged them and May tightly. Ash smiled, as it was evident to him that both Norman and Caroline also saw him as part of the family already. His and May's Pokémon then gathered around to hug them too. So have I, Gary chimed in, looking at Ash and May with a teasing grin. I had actually competed in the Hoenn League around the time Max had, just to see if I still had my battling spirit in me. I'd placed in the top 8, and Leon in the letter said he was impressed with my progress in it, as well as our epic 6-on-6 battle in the Johto League Silver Conference, Ashy, and wants me to also participate. Same here, Paul chimed in, also giving Ash and May a teasing look. Leon said he thought the 6-on-6 battle we had in the Sinnoh League, Ash, was one of the most amazing battles he's ever seen, and has invited me to participate too. That's awesome, Ash and May remarked, while also going red in the cheeks as Gary and Paul gave them teasing looks. Congratulations, the 4 of you, Dawn exclaimed. Brock, Misty and Iris congratulated the 4 of them too. Even Team Rocket congratulated them. Harley, though, looked disgusted. Serena nervously congratulated them. She had seen how angry Ash and May had been at Harley, and was scared of what they'd say to her. Funny, a voice interrupted them. It was Trip. Before your friends, Brock and Iris, and your former rivals, Gary and Paul, had shown up at my house, I too had gotten an invitation from Leon to participate in one of the Galar World Championships circuit leagues, saying he liked my performance in the top 8 of the Sinnoh League I had competed in. Everyone turned to face the Nuvema trainer, all with unhappy looks on their faces. Ash and May, accompanied by all of their Pokémon, walked towards him and looked him straight in the eye. Torterra, in particular, looked angry. Trip, Ash began. I really thought we had settled our rivalry back at the Unova League. You said I had beaten you fair and square. Were you really hiding your true feelings? Well, Ash, Iris intervened. Actually, I'm kind of to blame for that. I became champion of Unova, which prevented Trip from being the one to beat Alder like he had wanted, and since I'm one of your friends, he started blaming you for him losing his chance to battle him. That was a lot of information for both Ash and May to take in. Ash tried to process the fact that Iris, the friend that often teased him about often acting like a kid, while sometimes acting like a kid herself, was now a champion, on the same level as the likes of Cynthia, Leon, and Steven. Brock could probably tell what he was thinking, because he then interrupted his thoughts by saying, "Yeah, we were just as surprised as you when we learned she's champion." Meanwhile, Paul gave Iris a look that told her to stop blaming herself. May was just as shocked as her boyfriend. From the way Ash had described Iris in his letters about his adventures in Unova, she was quite the overly energetic one, that she too would never have imagined her as a champion just from the description in his letters. She and Ash turned their attention back to Trip. So you decided to punish May and her Pokémon too just because you were mad at me? Ash asked. And abuse his too? May added. Perhaps I was wrong to listen to Brody and Harley, Trip responded. I tried to pay you back the wrong way. I say we should settle our rivalry properly at the World Championship in Galar. Ash was surprised by his declaration. That's when I'll battle you and your Apom, Trip declared. You compete in one of the 8 circuit leagues to enter the World Championship. I'll compete in another. We do well in our respective next leagues, and we're both in the Galar World Championship, so that we battle once and for all. And hopefully, this time, we'll have a full-on 6-on-6 battle like you had with them. He pointed at Gary and Paul. Ash and May looked at each other. Then Apom gave its trainer a reassuring look, and Ash nodded reassuringly in response before turning back to Trip. But before he could give an answer, his Torterra nudged him. Torterra? Ash asked his loyal grass type. As Torterra started explaining, Meowth started translating what it was saying. Torterra's telling you that it had listened on your conversation earlier with the Hoenn Twerpet, how Trip and his superior had unjustly tortured her, and it wants to be part of your team against Trip at the championship, the fight for both you and the Twerpet. Really, Torterra? May asked it. You'd do that for me? Torterra nodded its head at the Petalburg coordinator, explaining to her and its trainer that it, alongside the rest of Ash's Pokémon, had vowed to protect her, which Meowth translated. Ash smiled and nodded at the loyal Sinnoh Grass starter, then smiled at Apom and Pikachu again, before turning back to Trip. Okay, Trip, Ash told him, you've got yourself a deal. You'll be battling me, Apom and Torterra at the Galar World Championship. A full battle. It was disappointing we didn't have one at the Unova League anyway. Trip smiled. Torterra then glared at Trip's superior, who glared back. The two grass starters started mentally preparing themselves for the day they'd battle each other. It will be a battle I look forward to seeing, Gary stated. Me too, Paul chimed in. Ash smiled at his two former rivals. Trip started walking away. I'm going back to the Hoenn region, he explained. I was working my way to compete in the Hoenn League anyway, so I might as well compete in that to be able to enter the Galar World Championship. He then handed Norman his balance badge. But I'll start from scratch. He gave May and her family a look that said, I'm sorry for all this, and then walked to the airport to catch the plane for Hoenn. Everyone was stunned at what Trip had just done. It looked like he regretted threatening May and her family. Everyone smiled. Maybe he wasn't as bad as Harley after all. Ash and May were then disrupted by a scared and quiet voice. Ash? It was Serena. The two lovers turned around to face her. Their expressions turned serious. Pikachu, Eevee, Apom, and the rest of the two lovers' Pokémon all followed suit. They all waited for what she wanted to say. So... She stopped herself. Who was she kidding? What she had done could not be forgiven that easily. Heck, she could barely forgive herself. Serena, Ash began. It's easier to forgive an enemy. A tear fell from his eyes, signifying how hurt he felt by his friend's recent actions. Then it is a friend. He and May gave her a sad look. They both hoped that one day they'd be able to forgive her, but they weren't ready to do so yet. The couple walked away, followed by Apom and Eevee. Pikachu, Talonflame, and Noivern gave Serena a look of disappointment before joining their trainer. Then, Hawlucha handed her over the costume she had made for it back at the Kalos League, before giving her its own look of disappointment. Serena stared at the costume that was given back to her, and burst into tears. She really had hurt them, in a way she had never wanted to, all because she had let her jealousy get the better of her, that she didn't appreciate that Ash had still looked at her as a great friend, taking advice from Brody, and had let him use her for his own evil plan. She thought she was a horrible person and friend. She shot Misty and Dawn a sad look saying, I'm so sorry. You were right. I had thrown away my own friendship with Ash. At that moment, she felt a hand on her shoulder. It was Harley. As she faced the Cactus outfit wearing coordinator, her eyes fired up with anger. Harley, I should never have listened to or given in to your persuasions. Doing so turned me into a horrible person, she yelled at him. Never talk to me again. She then stormed off back to Vanderbilt Town in tears. Ash and May watched this interaction unfold and felt sorry for Serena. While they couldn't forgive her now, May did feel bad for her, as she knew from experience that Harley loved manipulating people. The two lovers wrapped arms around each other in comfort. Serena wasn't a bad person, she just had a lapse in judgment that they'll need time to calm down and forgive her for. They were snapped out of their thoughts by Gary tapping them on their shoulders, with a teasing grin plastered on his face. I've decided to compete in the Kalos League to enter this World Championship, he declared. I like the looks of this region. That's great to hear, Gary, Professor Oak told his grandson. Unova was a region that interested me, Paul declared, so I'll compete in that region's league to enter the World Championship. Reggie smiled at his brother. And what about you, Ash? Delia asked her son, with a bit of a teasing tone while looking at him and May together. Which league will you compete in to enter the championship? The Galar region's next for me, Ash stated. I haven't traveled through there before, so that's my next step to become a Pokémon Master, and by competing in the Galar League, I can make my way to the Galar World Championship. Everyone smiled at him. And May, Ash turned to his girlfriend, would you like to travel with me again? May's eyes started to well up with emotion. Ash, I'd love to, she answered, and kissed him again on the lips, with him kissing her back, wrapping his arms around her waist as she wrapped hers around his neck. Everyone around them cheered once again. As they broke their kiss, they gave each other knowing and promising looks that said, we'll never be apart again. Here, Professor Oak addressed Ash, May, Max, Gary and Paul, as he handed them a new Pokédex each. With your new Pokédex each, you'll be able to carry all of your Pokémon with you. Ash and May were pleasantly surprised. They were worried about having to leave most of their Pokémon behind on their journey to Galar after what had just happened to all of them. They still wanted to catch more Pokémon in Galar, they just didn't want to lose any of the ones they already had again, and it looked like all of their Pokémon felt the same way. Thanks so much, Professor, Ash gratefully told him. Can't wait to see what it's like in Galar. Me too, May told him. I wonder what contests are like there. A couple of hours later, Ash, May and all of their Pokémon boarded the ship to the Galar region, excited about the new adventures that awaited them in Galar and what kind of Pokémon they'd encountered there. And this time, they'd not only be traveling together again, but as a couple, as they had always wanted ever since they had developed their feelings for each other. They were going to stick together and have each other's back as they aimed to fulfill their dreams of becoming a Pokémon Master and Top Coordinator respectively, since they had both relinquished their titles of Alola League Champion and Sinnoh Top Coordinator to look for their beloved Pokémon. As the ship started departing from the shores of Lumio City, the two lovers and their Pokémon waved goodbye to their friends and families, who waved back to them, wishing them both luck. As the Kalos region disappeared out of view, Ash and May held each other's hands, while their Pokémon smiled at them. Look out, Galar, Ash declared. May finished his sentence for him. Because we're coming. They gazed into each other's eyes and kissed once again, ready to face their upcoming adventures in Galar together as a couple. And so, with Ash and May having finally confessed their feelings to each other and reunited with all of their Pokémon, they set their sights on their next destination, the Galar region, together. What lies ahead for the new couple as they work their way to take on the Galar League and the Galar Grand Festival? Stay tuned as the journey continues.